Good afternoon. My name is Pat Boots, and I'm a nursing student at Lamar University in the RN to BSN program. As part of my class I'm in, which is Nursing 4540, Care of Communities, I'm going to make a presentation today to help you prepare for a disaster, which I know you've experienced before, a hurricane. In Beaumont, we experienced Hurricane Rita in 2005. And also Hurricane Ike, which came a little bit later. I hope this presentation will help relieve some of the anxiety you have experienced in getting ready for a potential hurricane and help prevent needless mistakes. That is our objective, to relieve anxiety related to disaster preparedness by developing an evacuation plan for potential hurricane. Now, anxiety is a normal reaction. Everyone has anxiety. It's really a fear or concern of the unknown. It can be measured often by an increase in the person's blood pressure or by an increase in the blood glucose level. That's called the fight or flight syndrome. Anxiety is a normal reaction for most people. It is normal for people to feel anxiety about a hurricane. Anytime during this presentation, I want you to feel free if you want to ask a question or you have a concern about something I'm mentioning. Feel free to ask a question at any time. You can just speak out or raise your hand, it doesn't matter. The first thing I'd like to talk about are contact numbers. There are a lot of agencies in Beaumont and the state that can help you get ready for a disaster. The Jefferson County Office of Emergency Management, which I provided a number for you there, and also a fax number. They have a lot of services that they can help you with, and you can contact them at any time, whether you're here in Beaumont or you're on an evacuation. The Beaumont Red Cross also has a lot of excellent programs which help during a disaster. I was in Beaumont after Hurricane Rita, and they were very helpful for me. The City of Beaumont has a number. It's called Beaumont Connect CTY 409-980-7280. You can they can help you to any problems you may experience at any time in getting prepared for a disaster.
Can you reach these numbers once the storm has hit?
Once the storm has hit, you can reach those numbers, or they'll have the number forwarded to a location where they can talk to you about any problems you may experience. All right, another good source for disaster preparedness is FEMA, which is the Federal Emergency Management Agency, which has a responsibility during any time during a hurricane to help relieve the problems of the hurricane. Another location you can reach help is the 211 number in Texas. When I was working doing my community-based service learning for Lamar University at the Beaumont Health Department, one of my fellow students was busy collecting numbers for the local 211 system. So this is a very good source of information during a disaster. The Texas Department of Transportation has also a road conditions number that you can reach that's given there. And if you're on the road during an evacuation, you want to find out what's happening ahead, or if a road is closed or if one is open that you're trying to access, you can call that number and they can help you. All right, prior to the evacuation, you need to prepare yourself and gather supplies needed for the evacuation. And I would suggest about 3 or 4 days worth of clothing, change your clothing, bring some storage bags so that they won't get wet. Make sure your car is filled with gas before you leave, because a lot of times you'll find that a lot of gas stations, they leave too during a disaster. They don't wait around for the evacuation notice, they leave and so there's not a good source for gasoline. Food items. I talked to the Texas Department of State Health Services dietitian, Brenda Sheridan, and she suggested that for your needs, she would suggest about 6 gallons of water. And assuming that you would use about 1 gallon per day per person, that would give you a 3-day supply on your evacuation. She also suggested dehydrated food and fruits, like blueberries and strawberries or things like that. She suggested peanuts, crackers, energy bars, that tuna that comes in foil packs, and other items that will keep without refrigeration. Also, I'd make sure you had an ice chest and different kinds of fruit drinks, which would come in handy too. I wanted to show you a device that you can use on your cell phone when you go on an evacuation during a hurricane. You can find these things at Radio Shack, and all it is an adapter that you can put on your cell phone, and this is mine here, and it just plugs in right there. And this other part will plug into your car adapter, and it will charge your cell phone for the full amount of the regular charge. So you can find a lot of useful things at Radio Shack before a disaster that can also help you on your planning. Pillows and linens. If you're going to another location for your evacuation away from a hurricane, a lot of times you'll find it more pleasant if you have your own linens and your own pillows to use instead of using someone else's. I had several friends that during Hurricane Rita, they ended up on an auditorium floor, and they gave them some old pillows and some blankets that weren't very comfortable. Another area I'd work on in getting prepared for the evacuation is prepare your insurance and healthcare documents. Make sure that your home insurance documents are included in that, and also car insurance documents too, which usually you have to keep in the car anyway. Prescription forms for any medications. Make sure you take the credit cards you think you'll need, and double check on the back of the credit card or on the front, whatever the case may be, and make sure it's not close to expiration. Because if you take a card and it's going to expire in a day or two, then it's not going to be much use to you. Also take important phone numbers of neighbors, friends, and relatives. You want to make sure that your relatives know where you've gone. I would tell them prior to leaving. I'd call them during the evacuation while you're actually on the road, and tell them where you're heading to, and give them the numbers of where you're heading to. And then once you get there, also alert them and let them know that you arrived safely. Simple things like an umbrella. If you're leaving during a hurricane, I remember one time I was in Mississippi during a hurricane, and I was in the northern part of Mississippi. There was absolutely no rain at all, yet the southern part was experiencing the hurricane. It had major flooding. So it just depends upon where the hurricane hits, but you may need things like umbrellas. Flashlight and rechargeable batteries. A lot of times, if you're looking for something in the car, and it might be helpful if you have a flashlight, or even to help someone else who is looking for something, and also to have rechargeable batteries. Like this cord I showed you here, a lot of places like Radio Shack, they'll have a recharging device that you can hook into the car when it's on, and it will recharge batteries for flashlights and other items. Ziploc bags. A lot of things you're going to carry in the car, you need to make sure they're not going to leak. And something like these regular old Ziploc bags, you can put anything that's wet and water and liquids. and they'll hold it without leaking. And there are also some garbage bags that aren't leakable that you can use as well. Prepare your yard. Remove loose items and store away such things as garbage cans.
Where can I store the garbage cans?
Well, that's a good question, because during the last hurricane, Hurricane Rita, I had one of the large City of Beaumont garbage cans, which are very large, as you know, and I tried to store it at my back porch, which is enclosed by a fence. When I got back after the hurricane, the garbage can was gone. I don't know where it went to, and I never saw it again. I would suggest that you store large items like that the wind may pick up and move. Just store them inside your garage and make sure the door is locked down, because items like that will easily blow away. Visit the hardware store. A lot of times after a storm, you're going to find there may be a broken window, or maybe a door has been dislodged or broken, and you might have to use some plywood and some nails, which are going to be in short supply after a hurricane because everyone else is looking for it. So if you could store these out in your lawn storage area ahead of time, then like a plastic tarp and nails, that would help you to get ready for any damage you might have to take care of afterwards. One of the important items too is just prior to leaving, empty your refrigerator. You remember after Rita, when you came back, your house smelled real bad for about a week afterwards, because all the items you left in the refrigerator should have been tossed out or taken with you, because once the electricity goes off, it's going to smell real bad in the house. I would suggest that you put some extra gasoline cans out in your lawn storage area. I did that with my house in Galveston. I always kept about 10 gallons of extra gas. And when I drove over there after Hurricane Ike, all the gas stations were closed in Beaumont. So when I got over there, I was near empty with my truck, but I had 10 gallons of gasoline inside the garage there that was able to provide all my gasoline needs. Mosquito spray. A lot of times you're going to have a problem with mosquitoes after a hurricane and during your trip. A road map and Garmin would come in handy too.
Why do we need a road map if we have a GPS?
Well, sometimes the GPS has blind spots, and you'll like when I travel through East Texas, sometimes I'm not able to use my car GPS because it can't access the satellites. So a road map might come in handy if it's up to date and you're looking for a particular destination. Now, once you get on the road, the start of the evacuation, I want you to consider being prepared and leave once the evacuation is called by the local officials. Do not delay, because you're going to get caught in large evacuation lines, and you'll spend sometimes days trying to get to your destination. Hurricanes are unpredictable.
Is there a certain point at which you would leave?
Well, I would leave once the local officials call an evacuation, but you can probably get a good idea of just looking at where the hurricane is. If it's out in the Gulf, that's probably time to go visit your relatives up north. Set a course with your GPS or attachable GPS device like a Garmin. Double check your evacuation list and make sure all your needed items are present. Alert your contact list that you're fixing to start on your evacuation and leave, your telephone number. Pace yourself on the trip.
How often should we stop and rest?
Well, that's almost depending upon the amount of traffic. There's not long lines that are hard to get out of line and go to a rest stop. I would try about once an hour stopping and taking a short break. Remember, stay well hydrated and eat on the trip. Stay alert to traffic alerts for the roads ahead. Phone TxDOT, the Texas Department of Transportation, to see about road traffic congestions for roads ahead. Keep contact lists apprised of your travel progress. Even while you're in the car on the way to your destination, make sure that all your friends and relatives are contacted and they know how you're doing. Use every opportunity to fill up the gas tank.
What about carrying an extra gas can in the car?
I would not recommend carrying extra gasoline in the car. That's dangerous. The fumes are dangerous. I wouldn't even carry extra gasoline cans in the trunk. Do not take extra gasoline cans inside the car or vehicle. Now, if you go in a truck, you have an open area of the backspace of the truck. That might be a place where you could put cans. Once you do arrive at your destination, you want to, again, notify your contact list that you've arrived. If the area has convenient places where you can get gasoline and they're not long lines at that time, that's the time to refill at that point. Access websites from your cell phone to ascertain the status of the storm back home. And probably the best sites would be your places like the local radio stations and TV stations, which have excellent websites. Replenish supplies for the trip back home. Get extra food items, including expendables, because if your electricity is off once you get back home, you're not going to be able to have the type of food you want for several days. Maybe your diet is restricted to certain food items, and you may not be able to find them back here if all the grocery stores are closed. Once you are notify your contact list that you're returning home, and once the all clear signal's been given, so they know you're not at your evacuation destination anymore. Once you do get back home, you want to notify your contact list again that you arrived safely and everything's okay. If your telephone home landline isn't working, make sure they have your cell phone number where they can reach you, or a neighbor's cell phone. Do a walk around real quick around the house and make sure there are not broken limbs up there in the trees that could fall down and hurt you or someone else. Or they could fall on the house. Maybe a tree is partially broken by the storm and it could cause some damage. Do not enter your residence if there's any entry point that looks like it's been forced open. There's been a problem in the past with burglaries when people have been gone on evacuation. If you do notice it looks like a door's been jimmied or a window's been broken deliberately, then call 911 and wait for the police to come over and check out the house before you go inside. Check the yard for electrical wire hazards. Notify 911 of any of those hazards you find. Check the yard for unstable trees.
What are examples of an unstable tree?
Well, an example of unstable tree is what happened just yesterday when I was talking to you. We were in your backyard and we heard a loud crash, and it was a tree, part of a tree that had fallen down, and later I found out it was out there in the middle of Phelan Boulevard blocking the traffic. So that would be an example of an unstable tree. And if some of your contact list live nearby, check on them and make sure that their home conditions are okay so you can report to them what you find. And I appreciate your attention. If there's any other way I can help you, feel free to contact me. Thank you.